scheduled DDA meeting at 4 o'clock. City staff with us in attendance. To my right, we have Finance Director, Ms. Chelsea Pesta, DPW Superintendent, Dan Ladd. In the audience, we also have Fire Chief Coomer, Deputy Chief of Police Kolke, and Chief of Police, Mr. Paul Shakinis. Chairman Blair, I'd like to turn over to you.
Yes, let's all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm going to take roll. Ackley?
Here.
Allen? Amin?
Here.
Blair?
Here.
Johnston?
Here.
Lublin? Marshall?
Here.
Michigan? Millen?
Here.
McDonald?
Here.
Smith? Okay. We do have a quorum.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have any requests for agenda changes? Told you. No requests for agenda changes?
No request for agenda changes.
Can I get somebody to make a motion for the approval of the minutes from February 14th?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman Blair, if you would like to, I would recommend making a motion for the record to excuse the DDA board members who are not in attendance today.
Okay. Any opposition to that?
I personally can't make the motion, but I would
I'll make the
recommend that the
motion.
board make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we excuse any absent members today. Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Wait, discussion? Who are those members that are not here?
Michigan and Smith
And Allen as well.
and Allen.
Okay, good, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have any correspondence?
Not for this month.
And audience participation?
If there are any audience members who would like to address the board, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. If you are attending electronically, please press *9 to activate the raise hand feature. No audience members this afternoon.
Okay. Any unfinished business from the 14th?
No, sir.
Okay. And new business?
None to report on.
Okay, then I'm going to turn it over to the executive director.
I'll give it to the managing director.
Sure. First item on our agenda this afternoon is code violations in our business district. So this is in continuation from last month. Today, as of about 10-15 minutes ago, we did receive architectural plans for the Walled Lake Tavern. It's going to be located at 139 East Walled Lake Drive. The architect did submit plans, however, the submission was incomplete. We are in need of fees and the application itself. So we will be working with the architect on getting that application complete so we can do the review process. However, we are moving forward with that and trying to get compliance with that section or area.
Educate me. Is that the parcel that they've been working on East Walled Lake Drive?
Yep, at the corner of Liberty.
Mr. Chairman, that's the parcel that has been in violation. That's why we touched on it under code enforcement.
That's what I thought.
They went in and did considerable amount of work. If you recall, he's appeared in the city on several of the boards or the council meetings to do some work. He did do some work downtown, which was beneficial. He did some sidewalk work on the other side. But when he went into the building, he did that without the proper permitting. They began to do work, demolition on the inside that had a serious effect on the structure of the building. We were concerned about that. It is literally only today that we got architectural plans for what they've already been doing. We believe that the building is stabilized at this point, but the violations still exist. Code violation simply means they didn't do something up to code. We are not aware that there's any life safety issues, but we do not know when they're going to bring the fees to move forward to actually get the property developed and up for use. It's unsightly now because the outside is unfinished. But they did make some movement today, and that's why we're bringing it to you at this late moment, because we figured that would be a subject of discussion today. The winter's almost gone, we hope. People are going to be working downtown, they're going to be visiting downtown, and they're going to want that done. We will facilitate the improvement down there because we want it to be improved, but they just haven't quite gotten it right since the day that I took him to lunch. And we were $60, that was wasted.
Out the window.
Yeah, it was. I paid for lunch, hoping, against all odds that he could deliver on what his promises were. He hasn't done that so far, but they're moving forward. They're inching ahead. So bear with us on it. The city's on it. I have to hold the reins of my code people because they want to go in and, they want to stop this and they want to do that because that's their job. One of the worst jobs in the world, to be a code guy, because you got to tell people no. But we also want to develop. So that's where we are, and we will report back to this board and to the city council as soon as the movement continues. We will report back to you.
I have to bring something up. How is he going to meet the parking requirements?
I haven't leaped ahead to he owns the property across the way. So there's a possibility of all of that happening. The city's negotiated with people in the past to do certain things. I do not know the answer to that. He's calling it, I think he's calling it the Wall Lake Tavern because that's what it's level. But we don't know if there's going to be a tavern or we just want him to fix the building and then we'll deal with that. So I do not know the answer to that. He could partner with somebody else, utilize their parking, whatever. He does own the group. I think there's a couple of people. They own the parcels next door. There's several parcels, I think like 3 or 4. Now, whether that meets the parking requirements until we know what it is they're actually going to use the building for. But at this stage, we just want them to get it stabilized and fix the appearance of the building. And then what they use it for, what the actual use. If it's going to be a tavern, he's going to be competing with 2 or 3 other, stores that sell alcohol. So, and he's allowed to do that. But like you said, the parking is going to be an issue if that's what he's trying to do.
Does he have a license to sell alcohol?
I'm not aware of that. It doesn't mean you can't get them. They bounce around. People are selling license. That's not really that difficult. It's if you got the money and you're willing to spend it. I mean, people will sell their license. So I do not know the answer to that either. I just know that his building is.
I went down there.
Yeah, if you're just driving by, you can look at it. No, they just didn't do. The planning was not good. I'm not really sure what they thought they were doing. They demolished it on the inside. I mean, they demoed it on the inside. I think some of our guys were writing tickets they were digging dirt from the bottom, pouring new footings and stuff inside the building, and putting the dirt next door. So that turned into an issue. But we're working with them because we don't want the building to go away. We don't want it to be unsafe and torn down. We want them to rehabilitate it and work.
Absolutely.
So we're going to have to work with them.
I understand that, but they can't open a place like that under the premise of using the beach area to park their customers' cars, because that's not fair to the people that live in the city.
We will report back to this board and the city council, when we move ahead, when they actually put in paper, but they haven't even applied for the license to do the work they've done already. They just did it in violation of our code. So we'll be reporting back, but again, our concern is life safety issues, and stabilizing the building, and if keeping it from falling down. So that's where we are. That's as far as I can give you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you have a time frame on when it's got to be done by or anything like that?
Yeah, none.
No, we could go in and red tag stuff and turn it into stuff. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to shut it down, but we thought we had a time frame with him. I wasn't joking. I really did buy the guy lunch, and we talked a good game, and we thought so, and he's done some work down there. But they didn't get permits. They didn't submit anything. So today is the very first day. We've got an architectural rendering of what it is they're trying to do. So the time frame, that's your guess as good as mine, but we're gonna look into it. As of today, we're moving ahead again.
Does it have a bar in it? I mean, what are they trying to do? I mean,
By the next meeting, we'll have some more, and I'll bring you even their plans if we want, because it is downtown, it's in your district, it's what you're concerned about, business people, you want it to be right, all of you, some of you live close by it, so work, your businesses are there, all of it. So we'll bring it back at the next meeting and see where we are on it, and you'll know more about it. All of you have an interest in downtown. That's a pretty key piece of property there. It looks, in terms of how we look, and I'd hate to lose it.
Right in the middle.
Well, yeah, because, there's that property that has apartments up top, and they don't have parking for those apartments, so they park on the street, sometimes 20 hours at a time. So that, in the future, I think it's going to be a problem too, because those apartments up there don't have designated parking spots.
That's all true. That has been that way forever, and there's that whole concept of a grandfather clause. You've heard of that, where they didn't prohibit it in the beginning. So, we do have traffic orders that prohibit certain parking for lengths of time, but not all of downtown.
What happened was I actually had a lease with the people that had those apartments, and they wanted the lease to go away. They didn't want to pay for parking anymore, and I said, okay. So that's why they don't have garbage and don't have parking anymore. They decided that they didn't want parking. So that's some new owners of that building that said, we don't want it. I said, okay.
Those could all be issues we have to deal with in downtown. You're right. The whole parking thing downtown has been up in the air for years. They release it for, you allow, the city in the past has allowed permanent businesses to come in based on parking, but they get a 3-year agreement. Well, when the agreement expires, they don't renew it because they don't want to pay, but they still got the same business that we require. So, yeah, I've had to deal with that for the last several years that I've worked here. So, and we will be dealing with that in the future. So, your point is made.
One more item on that. The stability of the building is what is most important, and you said they did do some structural improvements, or we don't really even know because we've never inspected it.
We'd like to think there are improvement, Councilmember Lublin. We'd like to think there are improvements. What they did to start with were not improvements. They demolished certain stuff inside where they made it unsafe. I think what they did is go back in to try to make it safe. They were digging out the bottom and doing things down there. My building official will then have to make entrance, but they did submit plans, so we're going to know. I've not reviewed the plans. I only became aware when Ms. Jakeways pointed it out to me. That the plans had arrived. What they've done inside, I've not physically gone in, but our building official, he's more than willing to go in and take a look.
And an outside structural engineer.
We need to do that, but that's where we are. That's as best I can do. They have done work inside. I'd like to think they're not purposely destroying their own building, but they've been doing a lot of work inside, so it means to me that they've been trying to fix it. Doesn't mean they have, but they've been trying. They jury-rigged it to begin with. I mean, that's what they did. They didn't get plans. They just went in and tore stuff down. You saw the silly stuff that they were doing with the cement and the bricks. And, they just kind of half-baked it. So I'm hoping that they professionalize their approach.
Thank you.
Can I
Moving on.
make one last comment?
Go ahead.
It's Kevin Michigan. Hey, I've walked through that as they did this. I do have a little bit of a construction background. I've built a few buildings, and what they're doing in there is absolutely scary. I would, and I completely agree with you. We all want everything to be renovated and look better, and we don't want to shut anybody down. But I truly believe that some of the things that they are doing is not structurally sound. Cutting those windows out of the brick had some structural effects to them, and what they were doing with the floors inside and it's flat out scary what they're doing in there. So that's my only comment is I would encourage someone to go in there from the city to look at it sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
When were you in there, Kevin?
Well, it's been a while. It was when they first started all the craziness. I think I called a few people to go in there just because they had the staircase out and wide open flooring to the basement, and I haven't been in there in probably a month.
That recent, though, okay.
No. So maybe they've improved it, but I don't know. Hopefully.
30 days is not a long
30 days is
time
a
ago.
long-
Well, let me try to end the discussion on this one. Based on their new submissions, we are now in a position to go back in, and so we'll get that done sooner than later, to take another look, sending our building official in, because that's what he's going to do, review what's going on. So if there's life safety issues, we'll be dealing with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One question I have, when you do something like that, do you have to have some kind of a bond? Or do you just, is that ever considered? Like when the owner does something like that, does he have to put something down, or a note to his mom or something?
I'm not sure what you mean by bond. I mean, if, when they're doing something that could end up costing the city, there are requirements to do bonding, i.e., whatever was required, they just ignored it to begin with. That's the whole point of my discussion today. That's why we call it code enforcement. They just didn't pay attention. I think they were very casual about their approach, and they put the city at risk, and they put other people at risk, and their own business. I'm sure that there's some money involved there. So maybe weren't the best decisions. Maybe they thought it was going to be a simple process, and it wasn't. We're just going to work through it. As I said, we're now ready we have a submission, so we now have a reason to send somebody back down. And it's been red tagged once before. So if we do that again, then, but when we do that as a city, we have to be ready to follow the consequences. That means we own the building or we demo the building, and that turns into something else. I would much rather they improve the building, rehabilitate the building.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Kevin to have somebody go in there sooner than later, because if they're digging out footings themselves and pouring concrete, that's, usually needs structural engineering, and then even if they don't have the concrete blend right with the temperatures and they support the building, then at some point that whole building can collapse and injure a whole lot of people.
That could be ugly.
So at least, have somebody check with like whatever footings and concrete and support things that they're doing, because if they say, hey, structurally we have these, but there's nobody to verify that it was, the depth and things were done properly, that puts a lot of people at risk.
I'm sure Ms. Jakeway is already planning her discussions with the building official tomorrow. We have our building official meetings. We have meetings with all of our consultants on Wednesday morning. That will be the first topic of discussion tomorrow. The engineers will be here, the planners will be here, building official will be here, and anybody else we need. So it could start as early as tomorrow.
Okay.
And not to beat it to death, but I do have the concerns about parking and just considering the way that this business owner has approached everything with kind of a blasé, really not caring about any laws or any ordinances or anything. I'm a little concerned about the way that he's going to approach parking on whatever he decides to do with it. As well as the structure of the building. If he's that blasé and casual about everything, I would be concerned about the way that he would approach following any rules. So, and I'll get off my high horse with it, but just concerned.
Thank you. Moving forward, Enterprise Drive.
As you all know, Enterprise Drive is located right off of Ladd Road. So this is also, we discussed this last month, this is in continuation. We do have a meeting planned with the real estate agent, Mr. Randy Thomas, and the buyer's attorneys. Sometime within the next 2 weeks, we'll be meeting with them to discuss what they're looking from us and a little bit more information on what they're requesting. And that is the update that we have for right now.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
If part of that facility is going to be in Walled Lake, correct?
Only 400 feet of Enterprise Drive is in Walled Lake's jurisdiction. So all of the development that's going to be happening is located in Commerce. Walled Lake is only owns 400 feet of Enterprise
So
Drive.
they're not building on the 400 feet that Walled Lake owns?
They might. They have a conceptual plan that shows that the construction is not on the Walled Lake parcel. But that could possibly, 400 feet, that's a decent amount of
significant.
feet. That's right. So there could be some part of a structure. on
Would that
a
add to
little
our
piece
tax
there.
base? If it is?
Yeah, it would be.
If they want to do anything there, for instance, if they wanted to put signage there, it might require a site plan on our 400 feet from the center line of Ladd Road. So they might require that. That would probably be the main reason they want to try to acquire the power to do anything. They want us to abandon our rights to that in terms of if the property is abandoned, if the road is abandoned by the county, then it defaults to the local jurisdiction, which still doesn't give them the kind of control they want. They want us to abandon that, our right there. And it may or may not be a good idea, but they want that because then that whole parcel from the roadway all the way in to the cul-de-sac at the end of Enterprise would be subject to some kind of a commercial unit development, which gives them a way to adjust it. So everybody's right here. They could end up building there under straight zoning, but I believe they want that property, that parcel that's in our jurisdiction for a reason more than just, I believe they want to be able to redevelop that. I'm not sure that their concept plan is exactly what they'll end up doing, but they clearly want the property because we couldn't get a second meeting early enough to be able to report here, but they still want to develop it. And so their lawyers are meeting with our lawyers and want to get that done whenever that is and move ahead on it. There's not much reason for us not to agree with what they're doing. If we can get them to help us pave Ladd Road, and cooperate with all the adjoining jurisdiction, then we might just be really, it may be a good idea to go ahead and do that. So we're going to report back as soon as we get the finals on that one too. But recall that we believe that same group, the property developers, are already developing the other areas. Is it called Sheraton?
Clarington.
Clarington
Is that the piece to the north?
Yeah, Clarington is a circular thing. It goes, there's two roads, it circles around and comes back out on Ladd Road, and they're moving dirt around, they're constructing stuff. So they're serious. It's a serious group that's developing. So it seems to me that they might be working with us, and we could come up with some funding from our side to contribute to the repaving of Ladd Road. Ladd Road's pretty nasty, and Ladd Road feeds into all that commercial district. The big thing for Wall Lake would be maybe it provides some jobs to the people who live here. It provides jobs, opportunity. It also helps the drive through the backside of Wolverine Lake. That goes right into Wolverine Lake. So it's to our benefit to try to help develop Ladd Road.
Development.
Huh?
You definitely want the development.
Yeah, well, we want the development. I mean, it would be great if that development was in our city and we're getting those tax dollars from where I sit as a finance guy, and our finance director over there, she wants all that tax money. But that's not where it's going to come. But I think we still have an obligation to facilitate that, provided it benefits. We don't want to create a problem or a liability for the city, and we won't do that. But we can work with them, and we will work with them to get them what they need as long as they work with us to get what we want, which is to pave Ladd Road.
Perfect.
Yeah.
In continuation of proposed developments, I do want to bring to the board's attention the parcel located at Maple and Decker Road, right down the street here, next to, it's a vacant lot. The city, the front office has been receiving a couple phone calls, an interested company called Come and Go. They're located out of Iowa. They're looking to propose a location right here in Walled Lake. So we have been receiving a few interested phone calls, and their team is working on preparing plans and submitting a formal document that will go before Planning Commission. But it is a proposed development that could happen right down the street here.
What kind of business is that?
Gas station.
Come and go. They're like a convenience, higher-end convenience store, but yes, a gas
What do you mean,
station.
like a commercial building,
Yes.
Nice,
not storage?
Like a 7-Eleven with a gas station.
nice.
Yeah, think wow down in the corner, you know, our managing director used the word higher-end convenience store. I'm not, that could be an oxymoron, I'm not sure there's a higher-end, but it is a commercial development. They're not looking to use that entire parcel, though. It's just a small parcel that they ask about. And they may be buying all the property, but in terms of the development. But that's typical of the old days when you saw a gas station or something on every single corner. They competed. I'm not sure we're in the business of competing gas, but convenience stores apparently doing the same thing. They keep popping up. With my view, we'll deal with it and go along with it, but I'm not sure Wall Lake needs another convenience store and/or another oil change station or any of that. But we will work with them because any development would be useful. So if it provides jobs to the community.
And people.
Yes, you know.
Is this the parcel just south of the condos, between the condos and the
North of the, or
Industrial?
south of, which condo association?
what is that, Dover Hill?
No, it's further down. You're talking about across
Right.
from
From the Copper
Yeah.
Mug. right?
Copper Mug.
Across from
across from
Copper
the
Mug.
Copper
Vacant,
Mug.
the
Right.
vacant
The
building.
vacant lot.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Right at the corner.
Correct, yes.
Right. In fact, there's a creek that
Yes,
runs
yes.
right through the middle of there. So,
Not
I mean, that is
developer.
prime for, I would
Not the
think, like
developer.
multiple apartments or something, if you can work
No.
the density with that creek that goes right through. Or the Greenway drain that
Drain,
goes right
yes,
through.
the
It's
drain.
not a creek. Right,
So-
I get it.
Moving on.
That's like a 10, 12 acre piece?
It's about 5 acres.
The total,
For all, there are 2 vacant parcels.
Right.
The parcel that they're looking to develop on is about 4 or 5 acres, I believe. They did present some proposed conceptual ideas during a Zoom meeting that we had with the developers. Nothing formal has been submitted, however, they're looking to use approximately maybe half of the parcel. But then again, nothing formal has been submitted yet, we've just been in discussion. However, their team is looking to move forward.
I believe it's 2 brothers that own, one each owns each parcel. And what is the total? The total of the 2 parcels?
5 acres, I want to say, I'm not exactly sure.
So
but,
it's not 10, it's 5.
For one of them, I think.
Oh, for one,
Well,
so it's
yeah.
not 10 acres. Right.
Okay. Parks and Rec.
Sure. Presented before you in the packet is a grant that is being offered through Oakland County Parks and Recreation. This grant was discussed last evening at the Parks and Recreation Board, just to get the discussion going. One of the items that this grant includes is pickleball courts. So front office, city staff, we've been in discussion, figuring out plans on how we can move forward with this grant and find something that can enhance Walled Lakes parks.
And you wanted to put this where, at Riley Park?
That would be the plan.
Well, this would be a good time to have Mr. Ladd talk about the
Yes, Mr.
exploration.
Ladd.
The exploration we've been doing about pickleball courts. So, Dan?
With the grant, they probably be a better chance of receiving the grant if it's new development. So the best place probably to do it would be at Riley Park. We have sufficient parking down there. The gazebo, we looked at the cost to rehab it, probably fitting within the budget. Be a good place to put it. It'd be right behind the gazebo. We can fit 3 courts in there pretty comfortably, but maybe just go with 2.
What is pickleball? Is it like a big ball with a paddle or something?
It's like tennis. but
It's
on
like-
a smaller
yeah,
The
version.
mini tennis.
It's mini tennis, smaller court, you don't have to run as far to get to the ball. It's for, middle-aged.
It's for old people.
With the same size rackets?
No.
No,
It's a little shorter, more of a paddle.
Paddle ball. It's
You
tennis,
can YouTube it.
Like a racquetball racket.
it's
but a
tennis
little
for
bigger.
seniors.
Tennis team. We're going to name it in your honor. We're going to call it Bennett's Pickleball Court.
Well, I've never played pickleball, but they do say.
It's the rage.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
What's the projected cost for the pickleboard?
So there's several different options and way you can go with doing it. You can use different surfaces. You could use concrete for the court itself, or you could use asphalt. Asphalt would be a lot less expensive. Depends, pricing on the fencing. Now, some of them I've actually went and looked at. They use a vinyl coated fence, which is a lot more expensive than one that's not, but it looks a lot better. It lasts longer. It doesn't rust. They're a lot more expensive. Depending on if you do a 6-foot fence or an 8-foot fence, there's a lot of different variables in the cost. So roughly between $30,000 and $50,000.
And the grant will cover all that?
There's two different grants. One's 25% match and the other's 50% match.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on which one you want to try to acquire. Probably if you try to acquire the 50% match, you might have a little more chance of getting it because you're putting more in.
Farmhouse out and put in there.
Ms. Jagway.
We're moving the farmhouse to your backyard.
So I do want to note, the application deadline is April 21st, so we do have time to prepare the quotes, get all the necessary information, letters of support, things of that nature for this submittal. It would be my recommendation as the managing director if the board would move to have management draft a resolution in support of this grant. That would help the application look better for the board's review up at the county. So if the DDA board would make a motion to do that so we can have a resolution prepared for you for next month, that would be that would look good for the application.
I
Okay.
had one more question.
Sure.
So did we put this out to the community to see what the interest is as to if it would actually be utilized or what percentage or?
Discussion for pickleball courts have been going on for over a year or so now, but we haven't made any formal public hearings for
Or like,
grant?
did we consider any other alternatives for that space that fall within the grant? Or that was, I don't know how restrictive the grant is as to what.
Oh, that's why
you
we're
can
having
use it
this
for.
discussion now, to bring it to the board to have your input, so.
I personally think pickleball is a great idea because it's really booming. Does anybody else have an opinion on
Tennis
it?
clubs are moving over.
I do.
Taking their courts to pickleball.
Okay.
Let's get a pool.
I agree. Pickleball will bring a lot of people in.
Anyone else?
It's not as strenuous.
Eddie?
I don't know anything about it.
I'm not,
Matt?
More finesse.
It's getting huge.
I've heard
No,
about
it is, it's gaining momentum.
people in Florida like it.
Yeah, they love it. And there's no pickles involved. There could be. Etha, would you like to give your opinion?
oh, no, I'm not familiar with the pickleball. That's why I was asking what the interest is with the community
Yeah,
overall with the,
It's a big thing.
They're doing it.
I think I support it.
I say we send Bennett on a adventure to go play pickleball. Can they give us a report at this meeting?
I don't think we have to do that, but I am playing basketball, and I played good last night.
Jerry, you have an
Throw
opinion?
that in.
I mean,
He's speechless.
how long is pickleball? Is it a fad? Are we going to put a
Been
pickleball
going
court in
on
and
a long
spend?
time.
Has it?
It's not going
Really?
away.
No, if it's not going to go away, yeah. But if there is something else that we could explore, but if pickleball's here to stay,
Why not?
RJ?
Well, my thoughts is, okay, let's say it is a fad. Make it to where it could be utilized into something else if that case does fade out and something, and you want to.
That's a good idea.
Do something else with it.
You could always rehab it and turn it into a tennis court if you wanted to go back to tennis or basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Either one.
yeah, I think if we
Fine.
planned ahead.
Yeah, if you look at
Yeah.
it that way, I think that's a good idea.
So if you made the courts a little bit, utilize the standard court, but make it a little bit larger, then we could always make it tennis or basketball with no problem.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Or you just add on to it later on if you decide to go in a different direction,
Okay.
because you're probably going to use asphalt rather
Yeah.
than concrete. Be a softer,
Yeah.
and after a while, we have to
may just stay.
resurface it anyways after 10 or 15 years.
Okay, so who would like to make a
I
motion?
got a question.
Fire away.
Quinnif Park has basketball courts there, and it also has some tennis courts there. Is there any thought of maybe converting them to pickleball courts? Because
It has to
nobody
be
uses
new,
them anymore.
according to the grant.
Yeah,
For
the
a chance,
grant.
it's got to be.
It's got to be a new parcel.
Brand new.
And really, those courts you'd really have to resurface those
Correct.
in order to make it work, so you're sort of ripping it out in order to make it work. And,
You're sure?
yeah.
You just couldn't go with something on top of it? Pull out the old posts and...
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
let me add a little to this. We've reviewed several sites when the issues of pickleball court comes up. It was new to me, too. I don't play pickleball, but it seems to have a support from the folks that I talk to. Surrounding neighborhoods, surrounding communities are actually building and already have built their pickleball courts. We looked at Sims Park, and it's likely that if that is what we think it is, that we rehab that anyway, and it becomes a pickleball court for multiple use kind of activities in Sims Park, because it's already built. The likelihood of getting a grant seems less to get a grant to rehabilitate something that already exists than it does to build something new. So the discussion was, through Recreation Commission is working on it. This grant will be submitted by our rec coordinator, which is Miranda Gross, and Ms. Jakeway. They'll be putting it together and packaging it and forwarding it. So we're looking to get support. It doesn't preclude us from asking for a grant for that too, but I think it really does, it comes down to what the work we've done. We looked at, looks like that Riley Park is the better place to secure a grant. And then so the next phase will be locking in on it, getting the specs, and then talking about what we're going to build, 25% match versus 50%. Ms. Jakeway could add a little more to that, but we're going to need to get money from whatever sources for the match. Nothing's free, so you got to match it. We don't get grants here just to say we got grants. I'm a big believer that getting a grant doesn't make you a good manager. Getting a grant for money for things that you need makes you a good manager. So getting a grant is not the objective here. Getting pickleball courts would be. And so if it works out for us, we will forward that. But what I think Ms. Jakeway was asking for was support from this body, because that would be packaged with the submission. So if we got a resolution, a hard copy, and the resolution, as I see it, as I envision it, would probably have all the more details of what we're doing, and then that would go to the city council. We'll be bringing this up next week at city council meeting again, so we move ahead. But we do not know if we're going to get a grant. We only know we're going to try to apply for it. A lot of times we don't promote what we're trying to do. We promote it after we get it, but because we need support in the community, we started talking about this kind of early. I think that question came up. Is there support in the community? I don't know anybody opposed it. I was kind of the first one to raise my eyebrows. I never heard of pickleball court until it came up at a council meeting. So, but the surrounding neighborhoods are doing it. So that's where we are. We need your support. You know, we would like your support. We're going to apply, or we're going to take a look at it. We don't know what it's going to look like or how we're going to package it up until we get closer to the due date. But it looks like downtown, and this board has supported downtown. Anything that brings people downtown, we believe helps your business. And so if we can put that in Riley Park, it seems to work for the DDA district as well as it works for the city. So,
Okay. So you want us to make a motion to submit,
To request...
to support?
Yeah, to request that management draft a resolution to be brought at next month's meeting for your review, so we can include that resolution, should this body approve it, in the submission for the grant.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And you want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion to support.
I think we have to state what we want.
I think we just did.
Yes.
And I haven't
Good.
stated it.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank
You
you.
opposed?
I got one little question. Did Parks and Rec look into this, our Parks and Rec department? Are they on board with all this?
Actually, I don't have a good answer to that.
The answer is
We
yes.
We
discussed this.
talked about it last night, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're continuing that discussion with them.
Wondering. They would
Okay.
be the experts on pickleball, I guess.
We hope.
It's huge.
Parks and Rec.
It is huge, surprisingly.
And then before we decide to go through with it at that spot, can we get a cost analysis to see what it would be like just to redo the spot in Simmons Park versus doing this here brand new, if there's a huge cost difference or not with it? Because then if it's significantly less, doing it at Simmons Park, then we can always maybe come up with something else at Riley Park. But if it's, you know, I guess if we do a feasibility comparison.
They're saying the
We
grant's
could.
not for existing. It's going to be harder to get a grant for
For an existing park.
existing.
I think you can, right? I think stipulation of the grant is has to be new, right?
Right.
It would look more attractive to the Parks and Rec Board if it is a new development, and we would get higher points if we're proposing a new development. But also, it's in our downtown district. Riley Park just got the enhancements to the playscape, so it is a popular location, and we do have the space.
It'll bring people downtown as well, which
Correct.
the location.
Well, that's why we're having the discussion about a rec issue essentially at the Downtown Development Authority, because we're trying to get people downtown, businesses, people, anything, downtown. It's all about downtown. If we get them downtown, maybe they start doing business there, they get to know the business owners, they participate, they eat down there, they spend their money downtown. So that's really what this is about. If it was just about putting a pickleball court in, probably we could rehab one of the things over there and call it a pickleball court. But it's a little bit more than just a pickleball court. It's more trying to get activity downtown. That's our premise.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Mann, I did get quotes for rehabbing the tennis court down at Sims Park, and it's around $15,000 to do that because it's about 30 years old, and the damage that's been caused by the winters on the asphalt and all the cracks that go through it. And then there's no guarantee that those cracks won't resurface in 3 to 5 years. So their recommendation was to redo the whole court.
Rip it out.
Rip it out and redo it.
Start over.
And then you have to take the fence down and everything, and now you're talking a lot more cost.
Rebuild.
Right.
And I like the location of Riley. It's closer to the parking, and where Sims, it's, further back. I think people will utilize.
Besides, we have the new playscape there. So
Absolutely.
that adults can play pickleball and the kids can play on the playscape.
And the reconstructing of the gazebo, that'll be nice.
Got it. Moving forward, city events.
Sure. So as we prepare for our warmer months, hopefully sometime soon, the snow will be gone. We are presented before you is the farmer's market application. The application is now live on the city's website. This just went out last week. We did invite past vendors to participate again, and we're looking to include new vendors as well. We have received a few applications back, so that's always a good thing. We're looking forward to a really good season. I do want to note there is one thing that'll be different this year. We did do a time adjustment, so now instead of 7 to 1, the market will be another hour longer. It'll be from 8 to 2 now.
Much better.
I believe this will encourage folks to stay during the afternoon. That's one of the things that we've been getting feedback on, is folks want to do a little bit more shopping during the afternoon. So to accommodate them, we've extended it. But also during that first hour, it's usually pretty slow. So out of respect for the vendors' commitment to our market, we do want to be respectful of their time, and encourage their business as well.
I have a question. Is the young lady who interned last year going to be coming back?
Yep, so Miss Management Intern, Kaylee Hall, she will be overseeing the market again this year. She did a fantastic job last year, so she will be the point of contact. For this year, I'll be assisting her, but she will be mostly organizing all the events and being the face of the market on Wednesdays. We're at the Public Safety Campus.
Good to hear.
The vendors are the ones that requested the change in time?
Yes, they voiced their approval and support.
7's too early.
A bit.
Yeah.
Not for the high school kids.
So we do have opening day celebrations already scheduled. Opening day is going to be May 3rd. We're going to be inviting a local musician who performed at the market last year. He'll be doing a performance for opening day. And we do have 2 food vendors who will be returning. Blue Kuna, who does barbecue, and then we also have an empanada food truck food vendor who will also be there for opening day. State Farm will also be coming out and doing some informational session, and the library will also be in attendance for a story time. So we do have some things planned for opening day, but I believe it's going to be a very good season.
I agree. And I'm happy that the intern is coming back because she really did a spectacular job.
Oh, absolutely. She's
Okay.
great. We're glad to have her.
Okay, any further discussion? Could somebody make a motion to accept the warrant?
I'll make the motion to accept the warrant.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Do we have anything else to discuss?
Not from my end, no.
Should we make a motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment.
Second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's a wrap.